Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and I'm going to be doing a Rescue Ace deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck just got some amazing support that helps out this deck a lot. I'm super excited to show you guys this list, so without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like getting your name description in a single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're playing 2 copies of Rescue Ace Turbulence. Turbulence is a definite 2-of boss monster in the deck that's super easy to put on your side of the field, because all you have to do is banish 2 Rescue Ace cards from your graveyard to special summon this card from your hand to your side of the field. And this card is a +4 because it has the ability that during your main phase, you can set up to 4 Rescue Ace quick play spells and normal traps with different names directly from your deck to your side of the field, which is a crazy awesome effect. This card is a definite 2 of the build, and it's super easy to get to in this deck, which is why we just play 2 copies in this deck. It also has the ability, if another card that you control leaves the field by an opponent's card effect, you can actually target 1 card on the field and destroy it, which is a great effect for this card to have. We then play 2 copies of Rescue Ace Preventer. Preventer is a new card that we just got out of Duelist Nexus, and this card is amazing. It has the ability you can banish 1 Rescue Ace card from your graveyard and then special summon this card from your hand, and if you control another Rescue Ace monster, then quick effect, you can target an effect monster your opponent controls and change it to face down defense position, which is a great ability for this card to have that is basically a walking Book of Moon. And if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one of your banished Rescue Ace monsters except a level 8 monster and special summon it to your side of the field, which is a great effect to just replace itself, especially with your copy of Turbulence being able to banish cards to summon itself. This card can bring those cards back to the field. We then play a single copy of Fire Engine. Fire Engine's a great 1-of in the deck, and this card is just a great extender in the deck, but I feel like 1 copy is totally fine. We then play a single copy of Fire Attacker. Fire Attacker is great in this particular deck as an extender because it helps you draw cards, which is why we play this card as a 1-of in the build, but it's so easy to get to in this deck, I feel like 1 is totally fine. We then play 3 copies of Rescue Ace Hydrant. Rescue Ace Hydrant is amazing and what fuels all of your Rescue Ace plays. It has the ability that while you control a Rescue Ace monster other than Rescue Ace Hydrant, your opponent's monsters cannot target this card for attacks, and your opponent cannot target it with card effects either, which is a really cool ability. And you only use the following effects this card once per turn, that you can activate quick play spells or normal traps that were set by the effects of your Rescue Ace cards the turn that they are set, which is great because your copy of Turbulence is going to put cards on your side of the field, and if you have Hydrant and Turbulence on your side of the field, you can actually activate them the same turn that they're set, which is such a cool thing about this card. This card also has a really cool ability that during your main phase, you can add a Rescue Ace monster from your deck to your hand, except another copy of this card, which is absolutely amazing to be able to search out any card that you need. We then play 3 copies of Rescue Ace Airlifter. Airlifter is an amazing 3-up in the deck because it has a great ability. If this card is normal or special summon, you can add a Rescue Ace spell from your deck to your hand, which is amazing to be able to add your copy of Emergency directly from your deck to your hand off this card's ability. It's such a powerful card in this deck, and you always want to see it in your opening hand so you can get it out on your side of the field. It also has a pretty cool ability that when your opponent activates a monster effect on the field, quick effect, you can tribute this card from your hand or face over field to special summon a Rescue Ace monster from your hand, which is a really good ability to instantly get a card on the field. We then play 3 copies of Impulse. I feel like 3 copies of this card is a needed thing for this deck. I absolutely love this card as a 3-up in the build, and it helps out so much. This card is such a good card because during your main phase, you can choose choose 1 effect monster that your opponent controls with the highest attack, your choice if a tie, and neither player can activate that monster's effect on the field this turn, which is a really cool effect for this card to have. And then when your opponent activates a monster effect on the field, quick effect, you can tribute this card from your hand or face up from field to special summon a Rescue Ace monster from your deck, which is why I love this card in this particular build because it just instantly gets the exact Rescue Ace you need on your side of the field, like a copy of Preventer, Fire Engine, or even Fire Attacker, which is such a cool thing about this card. It can even get your copy of Hydrant, which is just super cool. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom is just really good in this deck to be able to stop your opponent from touching the deck, and it's one of the best hand traps in the entire game. We then play 3 copies of Droll and Lockbird. Droll and Lockbird is an amazing hand trap, especially in this particular build, at stopping your opponent from searching anymore for the rest of the turn. This card is really good in this particular build. So, that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of Rhoda. Rhoda is amazing because it lets you add one of your level 4 or lower warrior monsters from your deck to your hand, which is really good for this particular build. We then play a single copy of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is a definite one-of in the build because this card just stops your opponent from hand trapping you so you can go in for all of your plays. Even though this deck can basically play through 1 to 2 hand traps, this is just really good in this particular build to be able to stop one of those 2 hand traps so your opponent has to use more resources to stop you from going in for your plays. We then play 2 copies of Triple Tactics Talents. Triple Tactics Talents is amazing in this particular deck, so it lets you draw 2, look at your opponent's hand and put a card back in the deck, or it lets you take control of an opponent's monster, which is a great ability for this card to have, so you can either OTK your opponent, stop your opponent from hand trapping you any further, or it lets you dig into the deck for more cards that you might need. We then play, for the Rescue Ace spells, we're going to play a single copy of Rescue Ace HQ. This card helps you go in for the grind game, which is amazing, because while your opponent controls a monster, all Rescue Ace monsters that you control gain 500 attack and defense points, which is great because it makes your copy of Turbulence like 3,500, which is just super cool. And during your main phase, you can actually normal summon a Rescue Ace monster in addition to your normal summoner set, and also has the ability that once per turn, you can target 4 of your Rescue Ace cards that are banished or in your graveyard and shuffle them into the deck, and then draw a card to help you recycle the cards that you've activated off the effect of your Turbulence, setting 4 onto your side of the field. I really like this card as a one-of in the deck because it's super easy to get to, but it's a really good one-of in this particular build. We then play just a single copy of Alert. All of your Rescue Ace spells actually count as Rescue Ace spells, even though it's not in the name. So for example, your copy of Alert will say that it is a copy of a Rescue Ace card in the text, which is extremely important about these cards, so you can use them with your copy of Turbulence. Now, this card has the ability to let you add a Rescue Ace monster from your graveyard to your hand, or if you control a Rescue Ace Hydrant, you can add a Rescue Ace monster from your deck to your hand instead. All of your Rescue Ace spells and traps actually have really cool effects that if your copy of Hydrants on your side of the field, you get bonus effects or different effects, which is super cool about these cards. We then play a single copy of Rescue. Rescue is really good as a one-of in the build because it lets you target a Rescue Ace monster in the graveyard, or if you control Hydrant, you can target a monster in your opponent's graveyard instead and special summon it to your side of the field, which is a super cool effect for this card to have. We then play 3 copies of Emergency. Emergency is crazy powerful. This card is exactly what the deck needed, and it just makes the deck so strong. It lets you special summon a Rescue Ace monster from your deck into the position and then tribute a Rescue Ace monster from your hand or your field, which is really good about this card. And during your main phase, you can banish this card from your graveyard and then target a Rescue Ace trap in your grave and set it back to your side of the field, which is a really amazing effect for this card to have. And this card is a definite 3-of in the deck. It's one of the most powerful cards in the entire deck, and it's almost like an E-Telly for this particular build for the entire archetype. We then play 3 copies of Pot of Prosperity. Pot of Prosperity is really good in this deck to be able to just help you dig into the deck for the exact cards that you need, and it's just such a powerful card, especially since the entire extra deck is kind of like a toolbox. You can win with the main deck, which is just really cool about this particular build, but this card is great in this deck to help you dig into the deck to get cards like your Turbulence or your Hydrant directly from your deck to your hand, or even get your copy of Airlifter, which is just amazing. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to start off with a single copy of Contain. Contain is really good as a one-of in the build because it has the ability, if you control a Rescue Ace monster, you can target an effect monster your opponent controls, and this turn, that effect monster cannot attack. Also, its effects are negated. And if you control Hydrant, at resolution of this effect, that monster also cannot be used as material for a fusion, synchro, exi, or link this turn, which is a really insane effect to basically just lock down a monster with this card, and it's super good in this particular build. We then play a single copy of Extinguish. Extinguish is good as a one-of in this build as well, because if you control a Rescue Ace monster, you can target an effect monster that your opponent controls and destroy it. Then if you currently control Rescue Ace Hydra, your opponent cannot activate the effects of the destroyed monster or of monsters with the same original name this turn. We then play just a single copy of Reinforce. I really like this card as a one-of in the deck because it helps out a lot in this particular build to give you some protection, because it lets you target a Rescue Ace monster that you control, and for the rest of this turn, that monster you control gains 1500 attack and defense points, and it's unaffected by your opponent's monster effects. And the next time it would be destroy a battle, it is not destroyed. You can also manage this card from your graveyard and then target a Rescue Ace spell in your grave and set that card back to your side of the field, which is a really cool ability for this card to have. I really like this card as a one-of in the build because it helps you OTK your opponent, because with your copy of Turbulence, you can boost Turbulence to 4500, or you can protect cards like your copies of Hydrant with this card, making this card a really good one-of in the deck. We then play 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. I think one thing about this deck that's really good is that you can play so many hand traps in this particular build, because there's so many ways to recycle your Rescue Ace cards, so you don't need to play like 3 of everything, which is just really cool. But this card is great to stop your opponent's monster effects and also set to your side of the field so you can lock down entire columns of spells and traps. But with this card, Droll and Ash, you have basically an answer to any situation along with your Rescue Ace spells and traps, which is just really good. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to start with a single copy of Hita. Hita is really good because she helps us step into other plays in this particular build, especially if our opponent Ash Blossoms us. We can bring it back from their graveyard to our side of the field so we can link climb into some really good plays. Plus we're playing Fire, so it's really good to make this card. We then play a single copy of Underworld Goddess because we do make IP a lot in this particular build, and IP is very easy to make in this deck. And then make this card as a Kaiju that we get to keep, which is amazing, while also dealing with graveyard effects, which is just really nice. We then play a single copy of Access Code. This is very easy to make in this deck to OTK your opponent, and it's an amazing card in this particular build. We then play a single copy of Appaloosa. This card is also very easy to make to give you additional monster negates in the deck. Play a single copy of Trisbania to deal with back row. This card is very easy to make in the build, and it's an amazing card at dealing with back row that your opponent might have on the field. We then play a single copy of Heat Soul. Heat Soul is really good and very easy to make because you can basically just use any 2 Cyberse monsters with different attributes, and this card is basically like Walking Pot of Greed, because by paying 1,000 life points you can quick effect draw a card, which is super easy to do in this deck because you can do it on your turn and then do it on your opponent's turn. We then play a single copy of Nightmare Unicorn to spin stuff, Phoenix to pop spells and traps, and a single copy of Sunlight Wolf. And Sunlight Wolf is really good in this particular build because it has basically the ability to recycle your cards, so it's why we play this card as a one-of in the deck. We then play a single copy of Proxy F Magician. We do have a fusion card that we make in this particular build, which is going to be our copy of Mud Dragon of the Swamp, which is going to help us protect ourselves from targeting, because a lot of cards that stop us are like Infinite Impermanence or Veiler, because we do use a lot of monster effects, and since Turbulence sets to our side of the field, if you have your copy of Mud Dragon on your side of the field, you can make him untargetable by turning this card into a copy of a fire monster, which is just super cool to be able to work with Proxy F Magician. It's just really easy to do in this particular build. We then play a single copy of IP Masquerena. IP is super good in this deck to be able to make, and it's a really good card because we make this card all the time in this deck, because you can just end with this card, Turbulence, and your copy of your 4 set cards and a copy of Hydrant on your side of the field with this card, and you basically have full combo in the deck, which is just amazing to be able to deal with your opponent. You can make Unicorn to spin stuff. You have a Cyverse on your side of the field, so you can get another Cyverse on your side of the field like Alamirage. You can easily make a copy of Heat Soul to be able to just deal with your opponent, and it's just so easy to be able to make plays in this particular deck. You can also put Linkuriboh and a copy of Sunlight Wolf on your side of the field to make a copy of Heat Soul, which is very easy to do in this deck. We then play a single copy of Linkuriboh. Linkuriboh is really good to protect you from attacks, which is why I play this card as a one-of. We then play Alamirage as a one-of as well, because this card is just a really good Cyverse that's fire, so you play fire and dark in the deck, so you can make Heat Soul very easily. And then we play a single copy of Alamirage, or not Alamirage, but Anima. Anima is really really good because Anima lets you eat up monsters and basically just gobble up those monsters and attach to this card, which is just really good, and deal the cards that it points to. We then play a single copy of Mud Dragon of the Swamp because we can make it with Proxy F Magician, which is really good to be able to do because it does let you turn this card into a fire monster so that you can protect your cards, which is just really good because it has the ability, not a lot of people read the effect of this card, but it has the ability that your opponent cannot target this card or monsters on the field with the same attribute as this card, with card effects, letting you protect yourself from cards like Valor, Imperm, or anything that would target one of your Rescue Ace cards since they're all fire, which is just really good. Plus, it's very easy to make because it just takes 2 monsters with the same attribute but different types, which is very easy to do in this deck. So, that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played Rescue Ace before, you should definitely give this deck a try. This deck is going to be one of the meta contenders in this coming format, which is just really, really cool, especially with this deck being so, like, fun to be able to play. So, that's going to do it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of our notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.